All right, so I'm here to talk a bit about our company, Endace, and what it is like to work for Endace. The team that will be presenting to you today is Scott, Kim, and myself, who are software engineers, and Andreas, who is one of our software managers. We're going to cover off a bit about Endace and what we do, what it's like to be part of the Endace team, our internship program, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end. So, a bit about Endace. We're a company that started out of Waikato University just over 20 years ago now, but we've grown substantially since then, and we've now got offices all over the world. Our product is used and trusted by some of the largest organizations in the world. And we work predominantly in the network security and reliability space. We provide a unique solution to a very serious problem. How big is the problem, you might ask? Well, as you can see by these figures, network outages, deficiencies, and intrusions come at a huge cost to large companies. So they do whatever they can to predict or reduce them. How does the product fit in? Simple. We record the network at 0 packet loss at line rate. And this is done irrespective of the speed or the complexity of the network. So if you've got a network running at 100 gigabit, our product will capture it all. Our proprietary combination of hardware and software work together to store, index and archive the data packets to be recalled later. Shown in the picture is one of our larger products, and you'll notice it has many hard drives for storing a lot of data. So you can go back through and you can have a look if something goes wrong on your network. This provides a single source of truth, whether you're a security ops engineer looking to make the network more secure, or you're a network ops engineer trying to optimize the network, or a DevOps engineer trying to debug an application running on the network. This single source of truth is useful for everybody. Some of the features of our product are, obviously it does the packet capture, but on top of that, it can integrate with some of the leading tools on the market via an API, which our operating system presents, or the tools could be hosted directly on the platform using VMs. We can then stream the traffic at line rate through these tools, or we can play it back for historical investigation. So because we capture all of the data, you can run it back historically as if it's happening in the present, which is very cool and very useful. This is our partner ecosystem. As you can see there are some huge names such as Cisco, Splunk, Palo Alto, IBM Security, and many others. We work closely with these partners to ensure our security tools work well with our platform, and this ecosystem is growing all the time. So many companies are recognizing that our platform is useful and they're wanting to work with us. So the future is looking pretty bright for Endace. As I mentioned earlier, we sell to some of the largest players in the world, and this includes some of the global top 10 telcos, some of the biggest banks in the US, some of the largest financial exchanges in the world, and many other top enterprises in government and military organizations. They trust us because our product is awesome at what it does, and that's pretty cool for a little company from Hamilton. So a bit more about the cybersecurity landscape. It can be split into 3 main categories as shown in the diagram. So start with protection, which is essentially the locked door of the network, such as firewalls, intrusion protection systems, antiviruses, and anti-malware systems. These are there to stop unwanted intruders from getting in. For example, if Andreas is snooping around where he shouldn't be, these tools will lock him out. The next category is detection. This includes intrusion detection system, AI-based analytics, and threat intelligence, and various things like that. They're essentially looking for suspicious traffic and raising the alarm if any is found. And an example of this is if Andreas is on the network on 2 devices in 2 different locations at the same time, this would be considered suspicious and an alert would be raised. These tools do not work all of the time, which leads us to the final category, investigation. This is where we try and find out what happened and prevent it from happening again. And it's a largely manual process. So the traditional approach to doing an investigation was to go through the history at the time of the incident, was to go through the logs and events around the time of the incident and try and formulate a theory about what happened, and then look for evidence to support your theory and try and say, hey, this is what happened, but it's very slow, it's very time consuming, and it actually doesn't often result in a definitive answer. And so this is why our platform is hugely useful and hugely important, and that it provides evidence-based forensics of the network. So it means you can go through the network at the time of the incident, and you can use these analytics tools and these security tools to find problems and conduct a fast and conclusive investigation. But of course, you need to be recording the history before the event, and our platform was very, very good at that. I'll now pass you over to Scott, who's going to talk a bit about what it's like to work at Endace.
Cool. So as Carl said, I'm Scott, and I'm here to talk about what it's like to work at Endace. Next slide, please. So Endace is a global company. As you can see, we have offices around the world, including London, Chennai, the east and west coast of the United States, Melbourne, Auckland, and Hamilton. Hamilton is our R&D center too. So we're also global, not just in where our offices are based, but also who works at Endace. So we have over 21 different nationalities and cultural ethnicities throughout the company. Next slide, please. So as I said, our R&D center is in Hamilton. The diagram at the top there shows the different teams that work in the R&D center, and altogether we're about 40 people. The diagram also shows we have quite a flat company structure. So there's not lots of layers of management and things like that in between everyone and making things a bit annoying. It's sort of quite flat. You can go talk to whoever you want, not lots of walls and things in between everyone. The office is right in the Hamilton CBD, which is quite nice because it's sort of, it's not off in some industrial park. There's nice restaurants around and things like that. If you want to go out for lunch, there's shops around. If you want to go buy something after work, and lots of other things around if you need to step out for an appointment or anything like that. In the actual office, we've got, as you see, a pool table, fancy coffee machine, fully stocked pantry with all the food you could ever want, plus way too many chocolate biscuits you can eat. And as well as having the pantry, we also do Friday lunches. So every Friday, the company will bring in lots of food. We all get together, have a big lunch together. It'll be stuff like Nando's, Hell Pizza, curry, sushi, all sorts. As well as that, we also do work activities. So recently, all of software went out and played golf. I don't think we're very good at golf, but we all had lots of fun playing golf anyway. My team's done laser tag before, and we'll also do lunches out at a restaurant, just like happens like someone leaving, someone joining, or lots of other different events. And the company will pay for those lunches out at the restaurants, which is quite nice. Next slide, please. Thank you. So what is it like to work at Endace? So we have lots of autonomy. So largely we're left alone to do our own work. We don't have someone looking over our shoulder asking what we're doing the whole time. But also it's not, we're left alone and you're all by yourself. If you want help with something, there's always people there you can go ask for help and collaborate with them. Obviously with autonomy comes sort of the risk of mistakes because someone's not holding your hand the whole time. But we like to treat mistakes as okay, as long as they're not too big, or well, as long as they're not too stupid. It's good. So as someone who made a reasonably big mistake myself recently, caused a bit of an issue for a while, I didn't have anyone coming in yelling at me or being angry with me or anything like that. So the company rewards well. So they like to pay in the 75th percentile for each role in sort of the New Zealand market. And we provide a good work-life balance. So there aren't lots of people doing lots of overtime or anything like that. In general, we like to keep things simple. So as you saw in the diagram in the last slide, we have quite a flat company structure, not lots of unnecessary bureaucracy and things like that. And we just generally like to do things in the simplest way possible, as long as that's also the best option, and it generally is. We provide good career development. So we have good training and education opportunities. The work we do itself is also, it's quite challenging, which is really good because you learn lots just in your day-to-day work. You pick up lots of new technical skills and things like that. And also we have a good performance evaluation and feedback cycle. So you can learn what you're doing really well in, what you might want to work a bit harder on and things like that. We are globally excellent in what we do. So we're award-winning and we make a really good product, which I think makes work a lot more rewarding because we're not just working on some piece of crap that's full of bugs. It's actually a good product that's good at what it does. And we also just like to collaborate across the business, which means, you get to see lots of different people, do work on a few different things. And, you're not just working with 3 different people and there's a bunch of other randoms walking around the office and you don't know who they are. And so, yeah, that's what it's like to work in Endace. And now I'll hand over to Kim, who was talking about our intern program, I believe.
Cool, thanks, Scott. Is the camera gonna switch to me? Do you guys see me or no? Can you hear me?
Yep, we can see and hear you.
Oh, great. Okay, that's good. Okay, hi everyone. So I'm Kim and I'll be taking you through our intern program. I'll be going over what we have to offer, the skills that we are looking for in our interns, and then lastly, how you can apply for the internship. Next slide, thanks. Just before I get into it, I just want to point out in the photos, at the bottom right there is Scott and myself. And on the left is Philip, and on the right is Angus, and they were from Canterbury University of Canterbury, sorry. And if you see them, please say hi. And if they're in the crowd, if they're listening in, hi. Okay, so what we have to offer. Our 12-week intern program is a paid internship. Each intern is given their own project to work on, and they'll be supported by a manager and mentor. And this project is commercially relevant to Endace, and it gives the intern real-world experience. The 12-week program, the structured program, includes time with different heads of department, where the interns will learn about Endace as a functioning company, how we work, how we roll, and included in this is a professional development session with human resources. So why do we run our intern program? It's about giving back to the tech community, and in doing so we see 2 things. We get to see the talent that we see employed at Endace, and it gets the word out there that we are an employer of choice. Some of our success stories, as I said, Scott and I, we were previous interns, and in the intake finishing start of this year, 3 out of the 6 interns have stayed on with us in employment. And at our R&D office here in Hamilton, there's roughly a dozen of us that started as interns. Our Chief Technology Officer, Stephen, started as the intern. So that's really cool. Next slide, thanks. So these are some of the skills we look for in our interns. Please bear in mind that this isn't the full list. On the left, we have good communication skills, drive for success, and a high level of quality in their work. They're self-managing, they're a problem solver, and they have a continuous learning mindset. On the right, we have some technical skills. So these skills that we have listed, these are pulled from various projects over the last couple of intakes. So the skills that we look for here are very much dependent on the projects that we have available for the intake. What we do ask for is that the intern has a specialisation in computer science or software engineering. The advice that I want to give here is that if you don't meet all the requirements that we asked for and you're interested in a project, please apply anyway. And that goes for any job that you see in your career. You might never know. I certainly didn't tick all the boxes, and here I am. So please apply if you can. Next slide, thanks. So how to apply? We start advertising around early September, and in our ads, we have we will list our projects. You can apply for one, you can apply for all of them if you so wish. We advertise through Seek, through the universities, and also through our website, if you go along to that link there. Also at that link, there's some pretty cool blog posts from the previous internships. So yeah, if you're interested to see those, go along to there. Yes, so follow the instructions on our ads, CV, cover letter, academic transcript. It's that easy. And if you're successful, you'll be invited to our interview day held here at the our R&D office in Hamilton. And for our Canterbury successful applicants, we will fly you up to Hamilton and look after the transportation costs, so you don't have to worry about that. On that interview day, as well as the interviews you'll have for the suitability for your projects, you'll have a tour of the office, get to see our server room, our build room, get a chance to talk to the engineers that work there. And if you see myself, Scott or Carl, please come and say hi. We'd be so happy to know that you watched our presentation and that you're possibly one of our next interns. Yeah, so that finishes up my section on our intern program. Hope to see lots of applicants from Canterbury. Next slide, thanks. Oh, sorry. I will now conclude our presentation. Carl talked to you about our award-winning cybersecurity technology. Scott told you about how awesome it is to work at Endace, and I just told you about our paid 12-week intern program. Thank you all very much for your time and attention. Keep up the good study. I will now hand you over to Andreas, where he will moderate the questions and answers section. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. So yeah, I'm Andreas. I'm one of the managers at Endace, and I'll just go and either answer your questions or I'll go and pass them on to Kim, Carl, or Scott here. So please go and take it away. Or while you're thinking about questions, I might go and have a question of my own. No. Do you have to be an intern to be able to be considered for a grad role? Katrina, how about you go and take that question? Katrina's from our HR department.
We don't have grad roles as such, or ones that we would advertise externally. If we do have work available for interns after they have finished the structured program, then we do keep them on often on a casual basis while they're continuing their studies. Or if we do happen to have open headcount, then obviously it's a great introduction with their skills to the business, but we don't have grad roles or programs as such. We do have software engineer opportunities that do come up on occasion, where you don't need to have years of experience, fairly junior roles. And if that's the case, then no, you don't have to have been an intern first. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Katrina. So Lane also asked here when applications open, which are indeed in September. If someone applies for multiple projects that interest them, Will they potentially risk being given multiple projects to do at once? Now, I can go and answer that one. The answer there is no. We will go and only ask you to work at one project. So if you want to go and apply for multiple projects, you can go and rank them, or you can go and say that you have preferences, or you can say that you only want to go and apply for one. But when we have had candidates in the past that apply for multiple projects, they get interviewed for the different projects, and we try to go and pick the project that sounds like the best fit for that candidate. But there's usually a bit of a negotiation happening behind the scenes as well to make sure that all of the projects are well resourced. Any other questions?
So each intern has a separate project that they work on individually, supported by a different manager and mentor that will be there supporting them on their individual projects.
That's correct. So do you have expected hours to work per week, or is it more of a milestone? We expect this to be completed by this date, however long it takes based. That kind of touches on overtime, doesn't it? So let's go and split this up into two questions. So Scott, in your time at Endace, how much overtime have you been asked to work? And how long have you been at Endace?
I've been here, maybe a bit over 18 months, and I've done 0 hours of overtime.
Thank you. And Katrina, what's the expectations on interns when it comes to working overtime or extra hours or anything like that?
They wouldn't be asked to do any overtime or extra hours. They are, full-time roles. So normally full-time is around 40 hours a week, but we are pretty flexible. We have flexible start and finish times and things. There are, certain parts of the program that are structured. So we have, lunch and learns and things, and there would be expectation that you would need to be able to participate in those and check-ins with your manager and mentor to make sure that you're meeting your project goals that will help take you along. It would need to be completed by a certain date, which would be, the last day of the intern program.
Thank you. And to go and add to that answer, I think that the other thing to consider is the scope of the project. So if you were to realize that the scope of the project has changed or grown in size, then it's up to the manager of that project to go and sort that out so that the project is achievable within the timeframes of the internship, so that you don't end up working ridiculous hours to go and finish it, because that's not something we want anyone to go and do. I hope that answers your question. So I've got a question of my own, and I'll go and lob this one at Kim to go and make sure that Kim is well prepared. Could you tell us what your typical workday at Endace looks like?
Typical workday. Well, for me, I drop off my kids at school, and then when I get to work, I make myself a coffee. I log into my computer, check my emails. I just touch base with the rest of my team, and that's done at the moment through Microsoft Teams. And yeah, discuss what we're doing for the day, and then I go forth and do said things, such as reviewing code, writing code, developing whatever I'm working on at the moment. Yeah. I eat lunch. Yeah, and I think something Endace does really well is like our team. Our team is really tight knit, and we're pretty casual. So we catch up with each other in the lunchroom or go to someone's desk and have a yarn. So we're not all like, got to get the work done. Got to have a good time doing it too. So that's my answer for you, Andreas.
Thank you. And I see that we don't have any other questions in the chat so far. If anyone wants to speak up and ask questions, that's totally fine as well. Katrina, I have a question for you. When someone goes and applies for a job, not necessarily an internship, what's the absolutely most important thing they need to consider?
That's a good question, Andreas. The most important thing that they would need to consider, I would say, would be why do they want that role? Is a generalization, because it's always going to be a question that you're asked, and it's good to make sure that that role does align with your future goals, even if that's short-term goals, that you have an understanding of the company and what it does and how that can benefit you in your career. I would also say be prepared for any opportunities that you are interviewing for. Make sure you've provided all the requisite paperwork, thought about examples in your previous experience that you can talk to that really demonstrate your skills. Is that what you were looking for, Andreas?
Yeah, that's kind of when you get your interview though. How can you make sure that you get that interview?
I would say that you would need to read the advertisement thoroughly and see that you do have some of the skills. As Kim touched on before, if you don't have what feels like a perfect match, apply anyway. You can always highlight your reasons for wanting to be a part of that organization in your cover letter. So as I said, be prepared, think about why you want that role, and highlight any key skills.
Yeah, so you're kind of saying to always tailor the application to the role, right?
Yes, because if you're looking at a job application, you're not really seeing an obvious reason why that person thinks that role would be right for them. You can still go and look at a cover letter and investigate further, or go and read a CV, investigate further. And it's interesting to see people's motivations. If you're not an obvious fit, why do you want that role? And make sure that you've provided all your paperwork and information so that people aren't left with too many questions as to why you're interested.
Thank you. Yeah, does anyone else have any questions? Yeah.
I was going to say, ask a question kind of add to that. What are some standout things you'd be looking for on the CVs when you're looking at those submissions? What some key, not key things, but some things that will make you be like, wow, this person could be a really good fit for our team. Not just academic as well.
I'll go and take that question, I think, because it is obviously having to be aligned with the job description, because we do go and look at all of the applications and we go and say, do you actually match up with what it is we're looking for? And then we also go and see at the skills and experience what it is you have. And then we see how well it is you're providing examples to go and back up these skills. So if you have a list of skills, then that is less relevant to, for example, than if you have examples we actually showcase using these skills. I did project X where we use these skills and technologies is a lot more useful for us when we go and look at something than I know X, Y, Z. Because when you showcase that project, then you're providing some sort of skill and context to how and why you've applied those skills. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Any more questions? I see that we haven't seen any questions from Jaden here. This is your chance, Jaden. Any more questions from you, Ryan?
If anybody would like to register interest in finding out more or knowing what our projects are when we do advertising later in the year, you can send your details through to careers@endace.com to register your interest, and we'll make sure that we pop you through an email when the projects are open for applications.
Thank you, Katrina. Yeah, if there's no more questions from anyone, yep, just email careers@endace.com. Exactly.
Cool. I will put those those links as well into the YouTube description when they get uploaded to the website. So you've got those there as well.
Fantastic. Thank you, Aaron.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. I will stop this recording now.